All right, so here's the sniper trade of the day. We're on 3-minute charts as usual. There was the previous day's close was well to the north. Yeah, the previous day's trade was well to the north, and there was a gap down to here. It went to the bottom, went all the way back up here to the top, and then came and closed right here. So that establishes the OR3 boundaries as here at the top and there at the bottom. So it closed here, it opened here, it went down to the edge, came to here, opened here, went down and broke below the 3-bar or the 3-minute OR3. So that generated the entry short, and which created this standard risk box because of math. So that's our standard risk. And notice that in this case, that standard risk was really only 1/3 of the size of that opening range 3. So that's how big the gap in that initial 3-minute move. So we're short. Why is it giving me grief? Down this low, comes back up to the edge, bounces. By this point, it feels like it's making higher lows and starting to penetrate into my risk box. So when it comes back out here and then starts to reverse again, I just cash it for that first. So that initial trade, which started off promising, started getting higher lows. It penetrated the box. So when it came back out and I had a chance to make a little bank on that, we just took it for about a 0.2. All right, so now what we have, about 20 minutes later, the smoke has cleared a little bit. We had the RL10 reverse cross the baby dragon. The price entered the dragon. It could not make the move all the way back up to the PSAR, but instead just rolled down and then up again, so it failed to fail further. So what we notice is that we now have a Kata 2 formation because we have the R10 wiggle where it fails to fail and resumes. Now I have the regression line crossing the dragon. That's a good thing. And then price takes out the PSAR. And so we like that. So we get our standard entry with a standard risk box. And off we go. Check or hold. Standard exit. Gave it some room to run. It moved about plus 1R. Then it couldn't handle it anymore. You would be okay getting out right here at a 1, 2, 3 exit. Because you crossed the baby dragon. It flirted with price in the dragon, came out. But then when the RL10 comes into the Dragon, I just take it at the spine and capture maybe a 0.4. And this one was probably a 0.2. So this is a grinding day. It's just not getting much traction. So we're at about 0.6. In keeping with the upward movement of the day, I take a Kata 2 entry here because we have the R10 wiggle. We have a RL10 higher lows. It failed to fail further. We get the PSAR cross, standard entry, standard risk box, looking to go long. The top of the RL10 and the PSAR, that's where it gets interesting because it will have cleared resistance. So this space between my entry and that price level is simply the tactical space. And the only thing I want to do in the tactical space is get my risk from here above my entry, which was here, so that I can lock in that little wedge, that no lose plus dinner for two. That's like the doorstop that keeps that thing from slamming shut in my face. So the worst thing that could happen is that I'm going to come out of this with an exit right here at plus $100. That's a good position to be in psychologically. All right, so let's see what we got. Grinding, grinding, grinding. The first sign of buying interest that is sustainable finally appears. So again, when we draw this line across, not surprised that it's finding resistance right here, which is where it found resistance before, but now this move to the upside is starting to feel perhaps there's some potential. That's really the first sign that we have that this trade really wants to go. I mean, we had this acceleration to resistance, but then hesitation, and now we've got a break. So my stop on this little formation right here is probably the 2-bar low. I'd like it to be above the resistance that it just broke through, so I like to have my stop there, because if this fails, I know it's going to come back through here, and I don't want to pay for it down here. I'm just going to say, look, I'm going to keep all of that tactical trading gains. That's now my money. All right? So all of this in here is mine now. So I like putting my stop there. And that's sort of the second stage of the science project. I screwed up the markup on this one. This is a exit right here. I marked it up on the daily. That's an exit. And then that was an immediate re-entry here because it did not fail further. So this is that's about 1R. And then this is the re-entry on the PSAR flip and taking out the RL10 hump. So that's the exit at the PSAR dot. Check or hold. Okay. So we've got the next Kata 2. Now the risk box is here, but you're not wrong if you decide just to draw your stop here and just say, you know what, if it violates below the RL10, I don't need to wait to be down here to be out. Just the fact that it violates this support level is enough reason to get out. So I'm really only even risking half of the risk of the standard risk box, to be honest. All right. Now this thing in the first 4 bars gives me a nice move. I probably want to be right about here. And then when this holds and I'm starting to see higher lows, I might decide just to, you know what, let me go to the 2-bar low again. So I don't care how you get to here. You might have just picked the southern skin of the dragon and then just accelerated. So your pathway might have looked like this, following the spine or the lower or the higher skin of the dragon, or you might have just elected to use the PSAR and decided, you know what, I'm just going to lock in. I'm going to lock in that piece. So I don't care how you get to here. You got to decide the pathway and how actively you want to manage that. But my spider sense is that you need to be about here on your stop so that you can lock in that wedge of a gain, especially as choppy as this has been. I should have had a better exit. I gave it a little more room. I don't like that decision. My decision was the PSAR, and the difference was this little wedge. But I did keep the no lose plus dinner for 2. So live with the consequences of your choices. If I'm looking at this from a 1, 2, 3 perspective, here's the highest high. This one made a low without making a new high, so that now becomes bar 2. This is bar 1. And now on bar 3 that's live, as soon as it breaks below the low of bar 2, that's what a 1, 2, 3 exit looks like. That's what a price touching PSAR looks like. This is what a PSAR flip looks like. So this is approximately in the right place. Over the long run, that's the one that you must take. You can think about trying to preserve extra pieces. A lot of that's going to be psychology and your state of mind and how aggressively you want to capture some gains. Like if the intraday score matters to you, and it matters to me. I like to know where I am. I like to play from the front. Sometimes I might be a little more aggressive, and maybe market conditions and sector makes me a little more aggressive. But you have enough signals in here to be able to make an informed judgment in the same way that you like to have road signs when you're driving through tricky roads. There's the RL10, there's the rollover, there's the crossing the baby dragon, there's entering the dragon, the spine of the dragon, the lower skin of the dragon, the PSARs, the RL10 crossing the dragon, the RL10 intersecting the PSAR. So there's about 7 or 8 little roadside indicators that you have as you are approaching what's clearly a decision. There's a decision that has to be made in here, and you've got enough indicators to give you some sense of timing. I have been committed to the long side on this one all day, and it was still felt like the correct play. So I have another Kata 2 working on this one with a a low and then a higher low on the RL10, and we get the PSAR flip again. This is not evidence of, urgent selling. And most of the move of the day has been up. And then any breakout north of this line is a new high of the day. So this is my tactical trade space in here. And if my stop is geared at half a risk box because of where the RL10 is, then all I really got to do is get my stop above the entry, once again, so that I can lock in this wedge and get to experience no lose plus dinner for 2. This is where it becomes a science project academically and all that when it gets truly a new statistical high. Another fractional win. I actually had higher hopes for that one because when it came back and tested this low, it held. If anything, slightly higher. And then I was feeling good because it broke above the resistance. I was really feeling good in here. And then once again, there's bar 1. Now it made a lower high. That makes, when it closes here, that makes this bar 2. And so I took a 1, 2, 3 exit. But that also coincided with the PSAR and the RLXD, so that was just clearly time to get out. There's 1 unit of risk, so this is about half an R. So we're just hitting singles and making contact. I missed the Kata 2 because we were so close to the end of the day, but that's what that Kata 2 would look like if you were going to try to trade that last little section. But that was like the last half hour of the day, and I don't like to monkey around with that. It's usually not that orderly. So today was kind of a quiet day, and we probably got 2.5 R out of this one. When you total it up, it was some serious grinding today. Sometimes it's like that. All right, let's look at where